Hello, Sioux Falls, and welcome to this month's planning preview show. This is for the June 7th meeting coming up, and I'm Kurt Johnson, Chair of the Planning Commission for the City of Sioux Falls, and with me is Jeff Schmidt of Planning Services. How you doing, Jeff?
Good, good.
Very good. Well, Jeff, I kind of wanted to lead off today. It seems like with all the growth and development that's going on, costs seem to be going up on a lot of different things, and revenues are going down. We're hearing the news with sales tax revenue and such like that. So what's your take on how that's going with what we're doing?
It does seem to be the trend, and it's something I know that the mayor's talked about and everybody seems to be talking about. You know, costs are up, but revenues are down. So just to get people's perspective on that, you know, it's sales tax that is really down because even though people are shopping, they're shopping in different locations. They're maybe not shopping so much locally as they are maybe online, but that's a trend that we've seen historically. I mean, why have small towns really hurt and larger communities done better? It's because sales tax.
Sure.
Jobs are up, construction's up, real estate's up. I mean, we're going to see a lot of projects today, which I think is very good. I mean, people are, yeah, but Sioux Falls, what are you saying that the economy, no, we're not saying the economy's bad. It's just people should understand that the revenues in some areas are really down, but property taxes are actually probably pretty good because we're having so much construction.
A lot of construction, and a lot of folks I know that are building residential for their personal needs. They're seeing some pretty steep rates.
Right. Well, a lot of people moving to Sioux Falls. The housing market is really good, not only in Sioux Falls but in the surrounding area. The demand is here, the jobs are here, so that looks really well. When there's a lot of people working here, that means a lot of people are here buying things, but they're buying different things in different locations too. So again, it's just very interesting for people to watch about. I know the ag economy is really fluctuating and how much money they're getting for their products. And so is the ag economy doing well, and then are they able to pay for their costs that they have? So you sit there and you go, well, again, it's not just sales tax. Sales tax is huge, but it's that costs are up, but revenues are down, folks. And I think everybody in their own budgets are looking at the same way. Yeah, but wait a minute, not everybody's doing well, but it's something that we should look at.
Well, absolutely. And as we're rolling into our agenda items that we're going to be discussing, one of the items here, we're starting out with an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls amending and revising planning and zoning application fees. I guess I would hazard to guess they're not going down.
No, they're not. Amending fees. Good job, Kurt. We are looking at raising our fees in the planning section. They are for rezonings, for conditional use, for annexations, for preliminary plans. It's been, I believe, I don't have my notes right in front of me, but about 5 to 7 years since the last time we raised the fees. And I've talked to council in the past, and why it's on the agenda now is so that we can get to city council about how frequently we raise the fees and try to make sure that we're meeting the costs that it takes us to raise or get the products done.
Exactly. Well, 5 to 7 years, it's due. There's no doubt. So, well, great. Thanks, Jeff, for that. As we roll into our items here, the first one, we're rezoning from an agricultural district to a townhome residential district, a 4,000 block of South Ellis Road.
This is on the southwest part of Sioux Falls, and we at City Council had annexed this property recently. It's a property owner that owned the property. They had requested to bring their ag property into Sioux Falls, and now they'd like to rezone it to RD2, which is really for twin homes, maybe some townhomes in that area. And again, one of the things that we've really seen a lot in Sioux Falls is this higher density market. With a lot of people moving to Sioux Falls, one way to keep the costs down is to put more units onto land. Not everybody can afford a single family house on these size bigger lots. So twin homes, townhomes, apartments are a big trend.
No, very good. And keeping with that, our next item, an RA1 apartment residential to an RA2, so we're increasing the density, 3,000 block of East 26th.
Correct. This is on 26th Street and Cleveland Avenue. It's an existing apartment complex that's zoned RA1, and they want to tear down the existing apartment complex but build a higher density RA2 apartment. To try not to bore people with the terminology here, RA1 units, you can go up to 24 units per building. RA2, you can do up to 48 units per building. And so they're looking to do more than 24 units in their building.
Excellent. Well, in this next one, I think you can almost guess who the petitioner is here. We're going from a conservation district to an S2 commercial, institutional, and a planned unit development district, South Louise and West 69th.
South Louise and West 69th Street. I think that's Avera.
Maybe.
So they made a big announcement recently that they're going to expand a lot of their uses down there at Louise and 69th Street. They're already zoned for their campus planned unit development, but there is a small portion of their land that was zoned conservation for like drainage and landscaping that they need to adjust to put it into their campus overall plan.
And the overall plan is still going to be, I can't wait to see it. I think it's going to be quite the
right.
quite
And
the
later
layout.
on in the agenda, we do have, so I'll jump to the case now, but later on in the agenda, we have their lot and block layout, their streets, their utilities, kind of how it's going to be laid out, where their development's going to take place.
Oh, very good. Our next item here looks like we're doing quite a bit. A residential single-family to a suburban twin-home suburban apartment, moderate density office combination. I'll let you kind of go from there. It looks like we'll have some live work in here as well. North Career Avenue and West Benson Road.
North Career and Benson. So this is on Benson, the north side of Benson, and east of Career or west of the interstate up there. And it's land that's been set aside for, boy, I would say time goes fast, right, folks? So maybe 10 years. They cleaned it off, they graded it, they started to put in the utilities, and it's already been zoned similar to this. But now as the market's changed again, and we see this a lot in zoning, they want to rezone it from this to that, and they want to change their lot and block layout. And they go, well, we thought this was the single family. Well, now the single family's changed a little bit. Here's the apartments over here. Well, now the apartment boundaries are changing a little bit. So in general, as Kurt mentioned, it's still single family, then it goes to twin homes, and there's some apartments in there, there's some conservation, and then on the corners there's commercial.
Well, as we've seen in other instances, it's good to get this kind of a major plan set the first time, and then there's no surprises later on
Correct.
if you can avoid it. So
Yeah.
that's great. Our next item, an S2 institutional campus planned unit district to the single-family residential, 1800 block of South Grange.
We had one of these last month, and we're going to have two of them this month. They're Augustana University's projects. They're owned by them. Last month and this month, there were an apartment complex, a smaller one, and this one's a single-family house. And Augustana is selling them, so they're taking them out of the S2 institutional and into conventional zoning.
Very good. On the fringe of town here, it looks like, again, agricultural district to single-family residential suburban, East Madison Street and North 6 Mile Road.
The applicant for this property annexed their property through city council this month, and just recently. So they annexed some land on the northeast part of town, getting it ready for single family, and now they're coming in and zoning it for single family development on the east side of town.
That's exciting. It's a neat area out there.
Yes, it really is.
Our next item, a conditional use for an electronic message center sign, 5400 block of East Arrowhead Parkway.
Again, trying to help the citizens out there understand what this one is, and you'll see the images that really, picture's worth 1,000 words.
Sure.
It's an existing billboard, an off-premise sign, and on one side it's already an electronic message sign. On the other side it's what we call a static board, which is, you know, the artwork. But they're going to change it so that both sides are the electronic message signs. So they need to do their conditional use for an electronic message. It's not a new sign, it's not a new pole, it's just changing out one side to the other.
Excellent. Adding to it, that's good. Bring it to us and we'll check it out. Our next item, haven't seen one of these in a while, a conditional use for a bed and breakfast. This address escapes me for one, 700 block of Columbia Drive.
It's in the northeast part of town. Again, I keep saying those types of things, but for the citizens I should clarify. 12th Street kind of separates the city of Sioux Falls north and south, and Minnesota east to west. So northeast is 12th in Minnesota, up in the northeast part of town. And it's all single family owned home. These people live there, but they'd like to operate it as a bed and breakfast. So they have to do a conditional use to give us the standards where people would park, how long they'd stay, what services they'd be offered.
Yep, very good. Another conditional use here for on-sale alcohol within 500 foot of a sensitive use, 3500 block of West 49th Street.
This is almost to Louise Avenue. It's in an existing strip mall, multi-tenant center out on 49th and Louise, but there are some apartments, and I believe there's a small, I don't know if it's a daycare or a educational center out there in the tenant space next. So that's within 500 feet of a sensitive land use, and they want to have on sale, so they'd have drinks within the establishment versus off sale. You buy the package and you leave. So they have a conditional use for that.
Sure. Excellent. Well, next, a preliminary subdivision plan, so a bigger development area here, south of Marion Road and north and south of West 38th Street. We saw this a little bit ago, didn't we?
Correct. We did
Twin homes?
Yes, twin homes. And we did the zoning for it. It was two existing single-family houses on really big lots. The trust families coming in now, and they had zoned it to twin homes, and now they're laying it out with, I think there's, let's say, between 16 and 20 twin home lots on this property. And so the road comes in, the utilities are laid out. So on a preliminary subdivision plan, that's what they do, is they show us how the roads are laid out, what the blocks look like, and how they get in their water, their sewer, their drainage.
Look forward to seeing that. There's an instance of this closer to 57th and Marion that does really well, I think.
Yes, it does.
In this kind of a design.
That's a good point. I forgot about that one. It was
So-
an old church.
Mm-hmm. So, very good. Another preliminary subdivision plan, oh, here we go, Vera McKinnon South Edition located at South Louise and West 69th.
So they rezoned it, as you mentioned already. They made their announcement for their plans, so now they're laying out their utilities, their lots, and their blocks, and so it really helps us start preliminarily seeing how they're going to develop their land. And then the next item on the agenda is their initial development plan. And so to help the citizens, we have them all on the agenda at the same time. Preliminary subdivision plan is really the nuances for utilities. The initial development plan is the planning's point and what planning commission. Planning commission's like, yeah, that's all great and well to know where the pipes are going, but where's the parking going to be at? Where's the buildings going to be? How much landscaping, and where's your signage going to be? Versus on the preliminary plan, we don't see that. On the initial development plan, you start to see some of those other planning items.
Oh, very good. And our last item here is another preliminary subdivision plan for the Willow Ridge 3 addition, East Madison Street and north of 6 Mile Road.
Which was the zoning that we saw earlier on the agenda.
Correct.
And I hope the citizens start to see this and understand this. We're really trying hard to get the zoning items and the preliminary items on the same agenda, so that people go, well, I understand that you're zoning it, but what's it going to look like? So we can put the locks and blocks on the same development, the streets, and go, if you want to see some of the details, the preliminary subdivision plan and the zonings are on the same agenda. So.
Yeah, that's a good point, because there's just when you don't know or you can't see it, it's sometimes hard to visualize, and sometimes you'll run to the worst possible case.
Correct.
And so
and then they go, oh, now that answered those questions, thank you. And call us, get some more input, show up at the meetings if you're interested. We're always there to answer questions, and a lot of times it's just the people go, all I had was questions. I really didn't need to be involved in the public hearing, but this gives the opportunity, which is again why Kurt and I do the planning preview.
Excellent. Well, this is great, Jeff. I think we ran through all our items for this upcoming meeting, so I want to thank everyone for joining us today, and make it a great day, Sioux Falls.